Hi, everyone. Welcome to Monday Night Coaching Season 3. I have a very special guest joining us today. We have Chris. Hi, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, Amalia. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm really excited to have you today because I love the style that you're doing this event. It's almost like AMA where you guys can almost ask him anything, and he'll also be talking about how he uses AI. Now, if you haven't seen any of the promotions for today's topic, it is AI and LinkedIn growth hacks. So if you do have any questions for Chris regarding AI, LinkedIn, or just anything in general, he is here to answer all your questions, and we truly, truly appreciate you. So, but before we get started, I would love to know where you're streaming to.
Right now, I am streaming to YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, Instagram, and I think that's it for now. I think that's all five. So basically, I'm just trying to cover, the two meta socials. I'm trying to cover Twitch for the younger generation, who absolutely loves this type of stuff, loves participating in live events, and I really want them, involved in their ideas in the formation of my company. So that's why I'm kind of targeting Twitch, and then obviously LinkedIn. I want to target professionals, older, more established professionals who are helping transition. So I want to be able to speak to everybody in at once. So I'm specifically targeting my channels at all demographics.
I love it. And for me, I'm streaming right now to LinkedIn as well as YouTube. So because we can see everyone's comments paired right where we're in Restream, we're going to ask that you just comment live or just let us know where you're tuning in from so we can give you a shout out.
Shout out to Thomas and Kenny. How you guys doing?
I think they're on your stream too, right, Chris?
Yes, I could see them.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to hand the mic to you so you can formally introduce yourself.
Sure. So I am Chris Pinadella. I am the founder and CEO of Sales Pulse Medical Trends Inc. I am also an employee of BioFrontera Inc., which I unfortunately I can't talk about that on air because just social media laws. I can't really talk about my day job. But I am the founder of a company that is recently announced that will be exploring green energy technologies, and I'll be speaking about it April 25th down in New Orleans at a technology conference that you guys can all find a link to in my profile. Would love to see you guys down there as we make announcements for the company and what we're going to be doing. We think it's going to be pretty cool for the world, and we think you guys are going to be excited about it.
Nice. And everyone, for those are just tuning in right now, we do have his QR code. So if you are not connected with Chris yet, be sure to scan that QR code and connect with him on LinkedIn. All right, well, I'm ready to dive in. I did see we had a few more people join the conversation, so I want to do a few more shout outs. I do want to say hi to Leslie Flowers. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do see we have Kingdom Mindset with us, so welcome. Thank you for joining us. I see Juliana all the way from Hawaii. Nice, nice. My daughter wants to go to University of Hawaii, so she'll be really excited to know someone tuned in from Hawaii today. And then I think we have Jose. Thank you for joining us. And I do see you're in the comments too, Chris, welcoming everyone. So that's awesome.
Big shout out to Jose and the Sales Pulse family. Thanks for joining, buddy.
All right. Well, let's dive in. I'm excited because I have a lot of AI questions for you today. So let me know if I overwhelm you.
Yeah, let me just the few ground rules. Everybody always asks me a lot of the same questions. So just to give you a heads up, I'm much more of a conceptual thinker than I am brand specific. So everybody loves to come at me and be like, which AI do you use for this? And that's not really the way my brain works. I just know that there's pretty much an AI for everything. And if you want to talk to me about it, I can help you guide you to the best out of what's out there. but I don't go by brand name or anything like that. Not unless they're sponsoring me. So so we'll just I'll talk about concepts, but not anything specific.
That's fine. So how about this? Let's start right here. So how about you tell us, how did you use AI in 2024 and what is your primary focus for 2025?
So my journey into AI started pretty heavily in 2024. I had been messing around with all the functionality of, the GBTs, the early versions. But I guess what really got me super dragged into it was I was playing around with Microsoft Copilot when they first had their big launch. And I was just playing around with the prompts, seeing what it could do. And I started generating mini articles with it. And they weren't anything great, but I was like, all right, well, this is the start of something. And then I just started, using it as a template generator and filling out the rest by hand and filling out the rest by hand and started publishing a newsletter. And, just slowly but surely it evolved over time. I started learning more and more of the tools. I learned, oh, well, I need pictures. So then I'm like, all right, well, I got to find an AI tool that does pictures. And then all of a sudden LinkedIn changed their algorithm and they were like, we need videos. I'm like, okay, well, let me just start finding an AI that does videos. And just as the demand changed, I changed. And that was it. I just saw what the audience was responding to and found an AI for it and strapped it on like a piece of armor. That's kind of just how I worked. And it's always felt intuitive to me. It's, just comes natural. When I look at AI, it just makes sense. So that's just the way I use it. I just, it seamlessly blends into my day every day.
Now, how, I should say, based on what you've been doing in 2024 to what you're doing now, did you shift from any particular AI tools or do you find yourself using more of one than the other?
Yeah, my obvious go-to is ChatGPT, and it should be pretty much everybody's. The advanced voice I would recommend because it's a great, don't try to use advanced voice, I would say, to, I don't know, solve problems that you can't solve without facts. Use it to like bounce your own ideas off yourself and help clarify your own thoughts. And, like that, if you got ADHD like I do, it's amazing for that. You could just kind of clarify an idea that you've had for a very long time and you don't know how to properly structure it. AI will help you fix that and bridge all the gaps in your brain. It's phenomenal for that. So that's how I use it for the most part. I use it to like overcome, the shortcomings of the way my brain works because my brain is very integrative the way it thinks and it's a very systems thinking brain. So it's difficult to explain how I'm pulling different concepts from so many different parts of my mind. So that's why it feels so intuitive to me. It's like when I can't find the words, I just go to an AI and it fixes it. But other AIs that I use that I love, as Michael just mentioned, Claude is amazing. I'm a huge fan of Julius AI. Julius AI is awesome for data analytics and stuff like that. Um, and then, for like clipping videos and stuff like that, I've got one, I think it's called Opus AI that will do some highlights of the show afterwards, which will then disseminate automatically on a schedule that I've predetermined. So these clips will pop out over the next week, and it looks like I'm always on LinkedIn, but it's just my AI is running my life. It's pretty awesome.
Nice. So we do have a few questions, and I'll go to Leslie. And she wrote to you, do you write your newsletter or AI?
So my newsletter is me essentially going through an advanced voice thought experiment. So I conceptualize something that I've been working on or something I've been researching, and I think through it thematically, scientifically. I test the hypothesis out of, essentially based off of what I call if-then logic. If we know this about science, then we should be able to do that. And then I just write either speculative articles about things that should be possible based off of the science, or I cover things that are already out there. And so I'll go over the structure of the article verbally all throughout the day. And then I settle on, I'll go over like probably 20 different concepts a week. And then I settle on the five that I want to do. And so I always have a reserve to just go to if I don't have anything to do for the week. And then I feed it into ChatGPT. I marry it through another application I use called WriteSonic, which is I fed with 20 years of my writing style. So it knows how I write. And then I just push it out through there. So it's essentially like a template generator for me. And then I go through it and I edit it, the whole thing, and I make sure that the citations match up. So yeah, it's a process. It takes probably like 2, 3 hours a night to do an article, but it's worth it and they're a lot of fun to write.
I love it. And you know what? I feel like I like to have my voice. So when I do an article, I kind of type it out myself and then I kind of put in AI to try to see if they have any additional suggestions that I may have missed or to make it a little more intuitive, but I kind of like to keep my own brand voice.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, you can tell the days where like I'm crushed with my day job and I'm working hard and you guys get an article that's not my best piece and I feel it. But I'm just trying to keep it 5 days a week. So just know I'm only one person. Nobody helps me. I do it all myself.
Oh, you post an article every day, 5 days
If
a week.
I put out a full-length article every day, 5 days a week since April of last year.
Now that is dedication.
That's how you get a message out. And I built it specifically to go to the people who I wanted it to go to, and that's decision makers at all top levels all over the world, and people who are curious scientifically. And that's how you build an authentic, real following of 10,000 and not an overinflated one of numbers that don't really mean anything.
Because you produce such a large quantity of articles, do you ever batch your content or batch your articles and schedule it out?
Yeah, every week. So I usually have Kenny knows this because I always walk through the process with him, but I think the part he doesn't know is that I usually have like 5 or 6 in archives always ready to go. So, this way, if I don't have something, I always have like at least something terrible to put out. But I try to never post those. Um, but yeah, so I always have like something in queue, just in case of a rainy day. So I try to make sure I have at least 10, but yeah, it's not always realistic to have that many in reserve. But that's
I
what Sundays are for. Sundays are for a lot of writing.
So we do have another question. I was just scrolling up to make sure I didn't miss any, but we do have one from Michael, and he is it's like a few questions. What is AI? Machine learning, large language models, deep machine learning. So I'm going to hand that to you, Chris.
Oh God, Michael, I charge for this stuff, right? AI in general, I mean, I wrote an article about this a couple days ago. It's such a loaded question because it's like pretty much the answer is everything digital right now is what AI is. Because all artificial intelligence is a whole bunch of layering of different technologies stacked one on top of another to make certain things easier that are then interpreted by human language as code. That's essentially all it is. So you tie a camera in and you call it computer vision, and it's just saying, think of it as your phone has eyeballs. And a neural net processor, it just means that scientists tried to create what they thought was a human brain on a chip, the closest thing to mimic it. And that's how they store images. And so they're just trying to make robot versions of people out of machines. And they're trying to create, silly mimicry of it. That's all AI is. And then what is machine learning? And, machine learning is just like running a whole lot of data through patterns to figure out, what's most likely going to emerge. It's how you're going to be able to predict things. So it's like, you could use machine learning to basically anticipate, when somebody's going to turn the lights off or in a building, for instance. I'm sure Thomas is in the audience listening, and, he would understand that you use IoT sensors to, hey, most people leave work at 4 o'clock. We should probably start dimming the lights around 3:30 to save X amount of dollars over power for the year. So like that's machine learning, figuring just small little things out like that, or when stock shelves are going to deplete, so you know when to ship things with logistics. It's just all stuff like that. So AI is just all about predicting and efficiencies, but it could also be used in terrible ways. So it's just a tool. It's just another hammer.
That was a great way of explaining it because I was sitting here like, how can we break this down for Michael? No, and that is why you're the AI expert. But we do have another question from Jose, and it is, "Hi Chris, what's the best? Well, I'm sorry, what's the best for images mid journey? Thanks, buddy."
For images, honestly, I'm going to plug my friend Taran Jafarzad, who's out of Azerbaijan. She, amazing, amazing visuals. And Clint Engler, another person who I've connected with for a while. They do together, they make these amazing music videos. I would honestly say follow them or DM me for their names. They're way better at the visual stuff than me. I'm not the person to ask about like, hey, who's the best thing? I use like Sora AI if I'm going to try to make something cool just because it comes with ChatGPT. I try not to make too many AI videos because I get tired of AI, to be honest with you. I work in it. It's tiring.
Now, real quick, Chris, would you like to invite anyone to join us on stage right now, or you want to wait towards the end?
Oh, anybody's welcome to come up. I love live AMAs. Come on up.
Because I was saying, Michael, feel free to join us on stage if you like. I think he's on your channel. I just sent you a private chat with the link to invite him if you'd like to come on stage. If anyone's tuning in that would like to join us live, feel free to use that link, and then we'll
If
be happy to have you join the conversation. Now, we do have a question for Kenneth while we wait on those to join us live. He mentioned, is AI here to stay?
Kenny's asking me that,
Mm-hmm.
yes, Kenny. Unfortunately, AI is not going anywhere. Hold on, I'm trying to pull up LinkedIn split screen on my iPad so I can send this to Michael. Um, but yeah, no, there's no chance it's going anywhere. There's no chance it's a bubble. I don't know who keeps saying these things and why they're so foolish, but no, it's going to change the world. It's revolutionary, and anybody else who's trying to tell you otherwise is selling you a bag of BS. Anybody who's telling you it's a bubble and that it's not producing anything, they don't understand what we're actually going to be doing with it. It's not about what it produces, it's about what it saves. So it's people are just incredibly foolish when they say that it's going to be a bubble.
No, I agree. And I feel like anytime something saves time or is convenient, it's not going anywhere. That's like saying DoorDash or Instacart is going away. When we realize that we do not have to go to the grocery store anymore if we don't feel like it, if we have those days to where if we're sick, we can have things delivered straight to our door. I feel like AI is that same concept. I feel like all of our, well, I should say everyone here, you can let me know if I'm wrong. If we need to type an email for work or whatever, AI, just let it know, hey, help me write this, copy and paste. It's just convenient. I use it for my day job all the time.
Well, and you know what the weirdest part is about it is because what are we really doing? We're taking something large, we're compressing it on one side into something small when you send it over. It's like an episode of Silicon Valley from HBO. Like it's like middle out compression because you basically get it on the other side, you blow it up, and what do you first thing you do? You type in summarize. And then so you don't read the full thing that comes through. You just read the summary of it. You're like, okay, I got the basic points. And then the rest of it's just legal jargon, so that you just that we have to keep around, I guess, to keep lawyers employed. But I don't know, it's all pointing in a very particular direction, and it's blockchain technology, and let's just not do it with Bitcoin and stuff because that stuff's not safe. Let's do it with regular dollars.
And I like the fact too, Chris, that it gives us information that we did not have before. So I don't know if I should be acknowledged, saying this, but for me, I'm trying to lose at least 40 pounds. As a
Mm.
female, I'd like to keep that secretly because in my head, I feel like I'm supposed to already be there. But I had I went to a gym like a long time ago, and the cost to just to get that advice on what I need to do, I went right to ChatGPT and say, "Hey, I weigh this. I'm trying to get to this goal weight. Please let me know what I need to do. Act as a fitness coach. Give me like it laid out everything. How many times I need to work out, how many steps I need to take, how much water I need to drink."
Yeah,
And I literally just went like what I have access to. Like, this is my favorite foods. This is what type of groceries. This is the type of exercise equipment I have, and build me out a plan that can actually help me reach this goal. And it just in minutes.
yeah, it's funny because it's like people ask me all the time, like, what do you use it for? And it's like anything that human beings have already figured out, AI is great at. Anything we haven't figured out yet, stop trying to do it with AI. because it's only this sum of everything we've already figured out. Everything else that people are trying to like solve problems and invent stuff that like just stop. It's not in there. It's not, it's gonna spit out something and it's gonna look really convincing, but it's not the answer. If it was in there, there would have been a lot of big news. The media would be going crazy. And it's wild what I'm seeing out there.
So we do have a few more questions, and we also have someone joining the stage with us.
Yep.
So I'm going to let him join us first, and then we're going to get to the other questions with us. Let's see here. I'm going to change the view.
Hello,
All
Alfred.
right. All right. Let's see here.
Who is this handsome devil?
Welcome,
Hello.
welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Master
My
Bruce.
pleasure.
All right, now you had a few questions, and while I have you on stage, would you like to? So I know I was actually going to highlight your question. You mentioned guided and unguided training. Would you like to go ahead and just kind of ask Chris your questions live on stage?
Yeah, I'm curious to know if he has used guided and unguided and how he differentiates the two.
No, I haven't really delved into it 100%. Like I know all about it and I've read about it, I've watched videos on it, but have I actually played around with it? No. So again, it's one of those things I can speak to conceptually, but do I actually do it? No. And it's like when I talk about 3D printed space organs, like I'm aware that these things exist and that it's possible, but have I printed an organ? No, I have not. I'm a speaker for this stuff. I don't necessarily work in it. I more direct engineers on what to do with it.
Amalia, I think one of the things that people don't understand is AI or machine learning has been around for quite a long time. What has become popular is large language models.
Hmm.
So in cyber, we've been using machine learning for a while, and it uses both unguided and guided training. So unguided is when it's looking at a data stream, so all the events, all the stuff on the network, and it looks for anomalous traffic. So that's what unguided is. Guided is when it's taking intel from feeds that you get from CISA and elsewhere, and actually creates a tag. So, like for instance, if Chris is coming from a known bad country or questionable country, his IP address gets tagged, and then I can actually see that on my equipment. So cybersecurity has been making use of AI for quite some time. Now, large language models and the quote unquote generative aspect of that is what's new.
Oh, that is good to know, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, this is why I call him Bruce. So I like to keep my friends close, my enemies closer. Now, I joke around. Michael is affectionately known as Bruce because we clicked so well a few weeks ago, and he's strongly under consideration, I would say, for the term I never get right, and he always gets mad at me for CISO or CISA. So he's welcome to the stage, my friend.
So we do
It's my pleasure.
Oh, my apologies, Mike. I didn't mean to speak over you. There's a delay. So we do have a few more questions. I love if both of you will stay on stage and get both of your insight on a few things. We have a two-part question coming from Drew. And has anyone used AI/ML for data produced for an in-agency submission, literature searches, anyone, and how do I come on stage? I think he's on. It's showing paired.
Drew
So
Harrison, hold on, let me see if I can find him in the chat. Copy link. All right, Michael, I'll
Then,
let you handle that. I'm going to send it over to him.
well, I'm not sure what he means by an agency submission. Literature
There's
searches, the new models now can do actually even research searches. They burn tokens, but that's just out, I think, last week or so. I use um, Perplexity for more, for search. ChatGPT is sort of programmed not to answer certain things, and you're better off using Perplexity. Hence, getting familiar with all these various models.
I'm sorry, which user am I looking for again to send this link to? Drew Harrison? Drew
Yes.
Harrison.
And I would do it for you, Chris. My apologies, but because he's a paired
No,
stream,
yep. Sorry, I just had to find my chat on the thing. It was giving me issues. There we go. Drew, I just sent you a link that should get you up on stage.
Okay, and while we're waiting on him, did you want to? I'm going to change the view too, since we're having more people join us on stage. Did you want to respond to this question, Chris?
All right. So, what was the question? Has anyone used AI or machine learning for data produced in an agency submission LinkedIn searches? No, I don't particularly use it for that. That's again, like I use my AI more for the generative side of stuff. In terms of machine learning, that's not necessarily anything that I have really delved into a ton. That's why I always kick it over to somebody like Michael. I'm much more on the generative AI, LLM type of things, and again, my expertise is more in medical device development and technology and conceptual wise. I'm a like an applied knowledge person or an applied technologies person. So what I do is much more conceptually based. And I'm a systems thinker. So I fix problems. Like I know how to tie engineers together to fix problems on a global scale. I don't know how to work particularly in with the nitty gritty of things.
I also wanted to delve a little bit into what Chris was saying relative to using AI as an oracle. You may want to be considering using AI as a idea generator. I've found that when I'm using it, it allows me to do things I can't do normally. So I ask it, what actions make sense in this area, and then what questions for that action. So I'm not really asking it for answers. I'm asking it for questions.
Now we do have Drew with us on stage. Hi, Drew. Thank you for joining us.
Hey there, how's everyone tonight? And I don't know why I think I'm smart enough to be on the stage, but I thought it would be fun.
You're definitely smart enough to be up here. Come on.
Did you have any more questions that you'd like to ask them live while you're up here?
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. So my question that I tried to get out on the chat was, I know that people do it, and being a med device, I know you guys have had a draft guidance document for the FDA for a while, I think. But are we utilizing analysis of data to do submissions to the FDA, for example? Has anybody on here done that? And how is it going? How's the uptake? I know that it seems like the FDA is on board with doing
Yeah.
this.
So in 2023 they rolled out the full updates. So I'm currently at MIT learning about it right now, trying to figure out how well it's actually going, how much is getting implemented. I got a buddy who works at the FDA who I'm speaking to. Just happens to be a family friend of mine's brother, works at the FDA, and we were asking the same questions. But honestly, with what's happening within the administration right now, we're not getting clear answers because the FDA is kind of, under fire. So
Sure. Yeah.
there's a lot of confusion, but some of the bigger players, I would say, are playing by the rules. They're submitting to all the guidelines. But a lot of these smaller players that have a lot of devices out there that are vulnerable, that are at risk, say something goes wrong and the company goes under and they're an implant, there's a lot of risk out there, and who's going to be servicing them?
Yeah, that's a great point. And then from the drug development side of things, you know, it seems like that we have to get all these systems validated, and how do you get a secure, what would that be called? Like closed loop data.
Yeah, so that's like actually, I'm going to toss this a little bit to Michael because that's going to have to do a lot with PQE, which is like post quantum encryption. Essentially, I was reading about it. Somebody sent me an article yesterday or 2 days ago that somebody has got something 1,000 times more powerful than what we already have for PQE. So I'm going to investigate it, see if it's actually real. But we'll need something like that when it comes to healthcare data, because you don't want that stuff getting out at all, especially not when it's genetic information. And if you're exposed to a condition or anything like that, that could be leveraged against you in so many different ways. So
Yeah.
we're not too far away from the movie Gattaca if we don't start steering things in the right direction.
Drew, my response to that is hallucinations. My concern would be, particularly for FDA related stuff. And I don't think we're quite at a place where I would trust output from LLMs for that level of. Now I know Chris is using it, with what was the AI you were using?
For what, article generation?
No, the one that does number crunching.
Oh, Julius.
Julius. But again, when it comes to something like medicine, I just don't know if I would just. You shouldn't be trusting anything that comes out of an LM 100%. Everything should be reviewed. I don't think we're at a place where we can trust the output at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
It's not about the LLM necessarily for the output. Like for medical, it's so much more about like the potential for molecular generation and just coming up with conceptual. It's not like it has to spit out a fake hallucination to figure out a new protein synthesis or figure out a new molecular configuration. It's just whether or not it's going to work within a body. And again, so then we can use things like digital twins to recreate organs and actually test physical drugs in a digital world, in a digital body, and we can see if they're even going to work before we even actually have to test it on a human. So that stuff can actually work. We need to get better at it. The programming's not there yet. The chips aren't there yet, but probably very soon with how quickly they're advancing. We just had our second quantum chip come out. This one's even stronger than Willow. So, I mean, we're moving fast. And I think the future is coming a lot quicker than most people expected, like a lot quicker.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up PQE because that's actually going to have an impact on a lot of things, including crypto or anything related to encryption. So
Goodbye Bitcoin.
PQE is post quantum encryption, and there's PQC, which is post quantum computing. And we're not there yet, but basically, when the quantum computing becomes, I think it's 100 qubits. And I think was it IBM? Someone came up with something that's going to be very powerful, kind of a leap forward. So we're going to have to start worrying about it probably in the next 2 to 5 years. It's very expensive.
I'm actually anticipating sooner than that.
Probably.
Now, the good news is we do have more questions for you all if you guys are ready.
Yep.
All right. So we have another question from Christopher. Can you see the screen, Chris?
Yes. Can you comment on the ROI of generative AI applications? Can revenue and or cost savings be realized from generative AI applications? Shows 5 large cost. It's like a yes and a no. It really depends on the use case, right? Like you have to just have a use case that makes sense. You don't just throw AI as a solution to everything. If AI makes sense for a situation, you use it. Like for instance, if you're somebody who's in content creation, using a generative LLM makes all the sense in the world. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, then you got a great use case for it. But you don't just, if you were going to just buy like ChatGPT for your enterprise and like not train everybody up on how to at least prompt engineer and do it in like a fun way where you get everybody into a room and you make it like a game and fun and competitive and like and show the value and actually have somebody come in and teach your company the value of learning AI and like make it fun and not scary, because most people are just terrified it's going to take their job, so they don't want to learn it. But then when they actually learn what it can do and how much better it can make them at their job, they're like, oh wait, I shouldn't worry about anything because I'm really awesome at what I do now, way more awesome than I thought. And it's all of a sudden this allows me to do things I wasn't able to do before. So you can get better at jobs It's weird in a crazy way. It's just going to create new jobs. A lot of jobs are going to disappear, but that's just going to be, that's back in the day, we used to have lamplighters and they became newspaper boys. Like things are going to change. It just happens. That's the world.
Well, I would also say to Christopher, if you're an early adopter, you're always going to pay. But as things progress, the costs will come down. We haven't really talked about SLMs, small language models. I think actually between that and agents, that's going to be the real power. It's already coming online in 2025, but I think you're going to see more and more of that, and you're going to see the cost drop.
I think when agents meet edge AI is when you're really, really, really going to see the revolution. Because edge AI is a self-contained AI that's independent of a cloud that's going to allow robots to operate essentially. So, picture sending your your refrigerator knowing that it's empty, your robot knowing what your pack list is, getting in its self-driving car, going to the supermarket and meeting the other robot that's picked your order and driving your order back to you. That would be an agent exchanging information with Edge AI going out and doing the work. So that'll be fun. And that I don't think that's too far away either. I already have robots driving around my supermarket. I just sent Michael a video of it, 3 days ago?
Mm. I'll have your agent talk to my agent, Chris.
Exactly.
Now, he did ask a follow-up question.
Oh, sorry. Hi,
Can you-
Chris. What is my take on AI and quantum computing? Well, I think everybody's take seems to be the popular take that everyone wants to take is this fun term called the singularity, and everybody wants to argue over what the singularity is. But essentially, it's supposed to be when human beings and machines are so intertwined that you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. And that seems to be the ultimate goal of what a lot of people want to do with quantum computing and AI. I mean, I'm just going to flat out say it because nobody else seems to be willing to want to say it, I guess, right, Mike? But yeah, it's a lot of it's weird and a lot of it is based off of a really cool book that's going around, but I'll just leave it at that and just say
First of all, to be frank with you, we're trying to replicate our brain. I don't think we understand our brain. I don't think we understand
yep.
consciousness. So I think it's a little premature to say we're headed toward a singularity. Chris, I don't know if you liked the one I forwarded you about. He was basically saying that AI can make us smarter, and that at some point we will go towards a utopia. I think that's a little even. It's kind of
No,
an interesting idea, but I
I
think
just,
that's
yeah,
far
anybody who
fetched.
thinks AI is going to make you smarter doesn't understand human biology. There's no way it can make you smarter because by definition, if you're not flexing a muscle, it's not working and it shrinks. So for neuroplasticity, for evolutionary biology, it destroys brains. You need to flex your muscles to grow them. Flex your brain. You have to think. It will never work.
that I do agree with, Chris, because with all of like when Grammarly came out and all of these autocorrects, I feel like my spelling got worse. So I actually had to stop
Yes.
using it and start spelling on my own and stop letting these autocorrects do it for me. And then I noticed, like, okay, I don't feel stupid anymore.
I
I
knew
can
some
actually spell.
I knew something was going wrong with me when I forgot how to write cursive, and I had to practice to relearn how to write cursive. And I went, "All right, man, use it or lose it."
And the fact that
I used to speak Spanish. I forgot to speak Spanish.
like, if you don't use it, you'll definitely lose it. And you know what? They don't even teach cursive anymore. I had to almost teach my daughter because they just only teach you how to sign your name nowadays.
Mm,
I
it's
do have
wild.
an I do have another question.
Okay, so would you be willing to write an article on AI and consciousness? I'm pretty certain it would be enlightening. Oh, of course. Jose, I'll make it tomorrow's article. How's that? Request fulfilled. AI and consciousness. I'm putting in my notes right now for Jose.
Now, I actually have a question for both you, Chris, and Mike, and I don't want Drew, you feel free to, give me your feedback too. So we did have a post from Thomas, and he kind of talks about the different AI tools that he used. Could you break these down for us for those that are new to AI, if you've used any of these before and what they can use it for?
Sure. So here it says, I have enjoyed using AI tools for years, starting with Grammarly app that assisted me with my writing early in 2023. I signed up for ChatGPT. Currently, I have signed up for Gemini, Grok, DeepSeek, Copilot, MS Designer, and others. Sure. So yeah, so he's pretty much running the gamut of all the standard AIs that are out there. The only ones I don't use on purpose, and that is Grok and DeepSeek. I have reasons for that that I just won't talk about on air. Won't talk about on air. Michael can elaborate. He knows them if he feels like talking about it. But um, yeah, so ChatGPT is, it's my Swiss Army knife. It's your go-to for everything. Um, if you want to write a cheesy song or a cheesy love poem to make somebody giggle and feed it into Suno AI and make a song, you can do that in about 10 seconds using ChatGPT and Suno. So that's I do stuff like that all the time. And then Gemini, it's decent. I mean, I like it. I'm excited for MedGemini because that looks phenomenal. That's, I think, is where the real power of where Google DeepMind is going. Their Gemini currently, their LLM version is just it's lacking compared to ChatGPT in my opinion, and their voice feature is a little off. Grok, I'll just never touch. No, thank you. DeepSeek, nope. Um, Copilot, yeah, Copilot's great to have running on the side. I actually used to use. I'm just going to confess something. When I first figured out that you could get the top voice badge award, the yellow one for top voice or whatever, and I was like trying to brand myself early on. I just used a lot of I was like, oh, I want to sound like Andrew Sullivan. So I'd be like, oh, answer this like Andrew Sullivan. And I would type the questions in, and next thing you know, you got top voice this, top voice that, top voice this, which is probably one of the reasons LinkedIn killed it. So let's see. MS Designer. Yeah, that's really good. I use that all the time for banners and everything like that. So yeah, MS Designer is great. Canva is a really great one, obviously, that everybody uses for designing. It helps you create a lot of, um, I would say, just good digital marketing content for if you want to run like a storefront type of thing. People are really good at that. Amali, I would actually say you are one of the better designers with AI. I think I would toss it to you and Michael for like answering that question for doing design. You guys are way better than me. You're the experts.
Yeah, I just it's a little confusing because some of these actually have Chat GPT underneath the covers. So DeepSeek, is my understanding, at least initially, was trained with GPT. DeepSeek is funded by the Chinese CCP. So draw your own conclusions there. Copilot, again, originally ChatGPT. MS Designer, my understanding is it's underneath the covers is Dolly 3. Um, I won't speak. Gemini, I think Gemini is lagging. The bottom line is you really have to, as much as possible, keep up with all of these just to be seeing kind of what is at that moment the best solution to whatever problem you're solving. I wouldn't say stick with any one, and because the bottom line is inevitably with these what they call frontier models, meaning the ones that are out in front, that they're going to go neck and neck, and then they're going to leapfrog and so on. So I would keep up and try to as much as possible and with as much time as you have. But I would also focus on what your use case is. Like if it's image manipulation. I mean, I use right now I'm using ChatGPT's Dolly, but it also depends. And that's largely because I paid for the pro version, and so I'm like going to use it. I can't pay
But
for all of these.
but Michael,
Uh, yeah.
but why are we even wasting our time? Because in like 6 weeks, it's just going to be, instead of saying there's an app for that, we're just going to be saying there's an agent for that, and we're just going to be talking about agents nonstop. So like all this is great, but again, it's going to all be like, guys, you got to get it on AI now because everything we're talking about is going to be irrelevant in like 3 months. So that's how fast it's moving.
Yeah, but you're going to have to know which agent talks to what and
Right,
how.
but if you
So
don't know, yeah, I know, but what I'm
no,
saying,
I agree with you though. You have to be in this game now because otherwise you're going to be left behind. Seriously. And I'm
yeah,
not. It's whatever your job is. If you're not in, I'm sorry, but if you're not on AI now, you're going to be behind, and it's going to impact your ability to work.
cold hard truth.
Now, someone had asked about ROI, and I think there is a bit of a hype cycle, and I'm concerned about corporate America and their leadership. Basically saying, well, we can riff X percent of the workforce because the rest of the workforce is going to be more effective, and I am really concerned about that. Now we know, with the Industrial Revolution and the Information Revolution, that yeah, there's going to be disruption. But I think kind of looking ahead and saying, well, Mike and Chris can do the heavy lifting of 20 men because they have LLMs. I think is a little ridiculous. But that's me.
Yeah, well, we can when the optimists are doing it for the people that are supposed to be doing the 20 lifting. So yeah, be careful. You
Yeah,
got
we're
a
gonna have to
choice
be
to make.
careful with Optimus too.
Yeah, we'll know kung fu.
They're gonna be doing iRobot on us, Chris. So that's one thing that we as citizens should really be looking over the shoulders of these vendors to make sure, because I think they're a little over their skis relative to transparency, to privacy, and just regulations. We have very little. Um,
Guardrails.
idea of well, yeah, so that, and particularly, no, I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, we're kind of laughing about iRobot, but do we want an iRobot situation where they go rogue? It's pretty scary, actually.
Well, a couple in China already have.
I was just gonna say, I
Yeah,
actually read an
yeah,
article on that with the
Yeah.
military robots that the
yep.
test that was wrong.
Well, they test the military ones to be mean on purpose. So, and then they mess with them. So, because they're not people. So be careful what you're training if you think it's human, or you think it can exceed what a human can do. You should probably not mess with it. I wouldn't want to make it angry.
On the other, there's a difference between Optimus and Boston Dynamics too. The Boston Dynamics stuff is kind of programmed, for lack of a better word. Optimus is supposed to be using, I'm assuming anyway, some of Tesla's self-driving type software. So
Oh,
it's,
good. Well, at least it'll be terrible then.
well, again, but Chris, this is moving so fast. It's a bit scary, and like I said, I think John Q. Public isn't aware of how fast this is moving and what some of the dangers are. So it behooves us to educate ourselves.
If Elon Musk has proven one thing, it's that he's a grifter who builds stuff that always breaks and takes credit for stuff other people do. So I highly doubt his robots work that well.
I can neither confirm or deny that.
Anyway, sorry to drift, audience. Or anyway, back to the topic.
Well, it's kind of related in some way, right? Now, for those that are afraid of AI, what would you say, or what would be like security measures? I love that you're on stage too, Mike, because I know you kind of gave a sneak preview of the security piece of it and how people in cybersecurity have been using AI. Someone along, well, I should say, a while ago that I had interviewed mentioned that the AI headshots, if you don't read like the terms and conditioning, they actually own that photo. They can actually do what they want with that AI headshot that you created. And for those that are afraid of AI, what are some things they should look for? What are some security measures? What, I don't want to say what AI tools they shouldn't use, but what should they be aware of before just submitting and using the platform?
It doesn't matter. They already have it.
Well,
That's the truth. I mean,
it
If you
goes
have it,
back.
if your phone unlocks by your face, they have it.
Yeah, I mean facial recognition. I mean we have so many cameras well around the world actually, not just
Yeah,
in the
I have
U.S.
7 cameras on me right now, and they're all sitting on my desk. And
Yeah. Um, no, but she raises a good question. What about deep fakes? And so we are going to have to worry about deep fakes.
yeah,
Uh, audio. We
I
can
was
they can record someone can record our voices and within a couple sentences have enough information to actually create a complete deep fake in our voice. Video. Um, now as a protection, potentially, there will be anti deepfake software and tools. But again, because this stuff is moving so fast, I would say the minds of the malicious are probably a little ahead of the game. Um, I would start to say like if you don't understand um, well, I would have like for instance, a passphrase with my loved ones, so that if I get a phone call purporting to be one of them, I would say, okay, what's the passphrase? And if they can't answer, then it's most likely not. Yeah, and it's the same. I mean, you should have that anyway if someone's, doing something malicious with loved ones anyway. But I was part of what they call a grandma scam, where someone had called my mother-in-law purporting to be a bail bondsman for my stepson, and they had us going for a little bit because we actually couldn't contact him. So this is already going on, not with AI, but this is already going on, and AI is just going to make it that much worse.
Yeah, I was just the victim of one. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it on air, but it just happened to me, you know, week and a half, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And it was really convincing. So yeah, just beware, it's real, and corporate espionage is definitely real. Um, so anybody out there who is in, the corporate world listening and you're a decision maker, be very careful with what you do with the AIs because or what you do with your image out there, I would say, because somebody sounded just like me, made a whole bunch of calls and texts, and it was interesting what happened. So I'll just say it's real and be wary.
I love the idea of having a passcode, especially as a parent, because that is like I heard the story of when the family thought someone kidnapped their daughter. That's like the scariest thing ever. And I feel like
First,
with us constantly on air and talking, and this is another reason why I really don't really put my daughter too much out there, so they won't try to get her voice and make me think they have my child. Like my voice, okay, but I love the idea of a passcode because I would never want someone to use my voice and say, "Hey, your mother said that here she's on the phone." I never want those things to ever occur. So I'm actually going to have that conversation tonight. So that was a great idea, Mike.
Right. So I see
um,
a great question in the audience that I want to address while Amalia is talking about her daughter. And it says, isn't there a hacking risk with people that people are overlooking? And yeah, brain hacking, people are overlooking because these algorithms that are fed into your phones, your front of your camera, the front of your iPad, the front of these screens, they see what you're looking at. They know exactly how long you're looking at something, what makes you angry, what makes you happy, and they manipulate personalities. Doesn't matter if you're a toddler or a grandparent. It's going to show you the more of the worst side of yourself because that's what they're designed to do because anger hooks you more than happiness. And so they'll feed you just enough happy stuff to keep you coming back to get angry at the angry stuff. And so be careful with your children in AI. That's the real brain hack is when your kids are all of a sudden learning everything that they need to learn from YouTube and they don't know reading, writing, math. They just miss all of STEM. And then they end up very disappointed in life because they think everything is go on YouTube, get famous, and that's life. And you end up with a mansion for going on YouTube, and that's not life. Life's very difficult. So yeah, brain hacking. Be very careful with what these 7 companies are programming into your brain every day. Be very, very careful.
Well, and I'm going to walk that back a little bit. That Google et al. Have already been doing this as part of the algorithms. They don't need AI. So, I mean, they've been feeding, via pick one, social media or search.
Yeah,
They've
but
been playing games with the algorithm, but it only gets worse with AI. So I agree with
correct.
you in that
It's
respect.
amplified
Yeah.
times a lot with AI.
So
Hyper personalized personal anger comes from AI. That's why there's so many people who are struggling out there right now, and that's the God's honest truth. Is because you're spending too much time in your social media feed, getting angry at why everybody else is angry, and that's the truth. Nobody's that angry if you just get off your phone and go outside.
take a walk already
And this
without your
generation,
phone.
I about to say, this generation is glued to their phone.
It's what raised them, and they don't know any better. It's what teaches them everything. It's not their fault. You can't blame them. It's what we taught them. So it's our fault. We didn't prepare them.
Don't use AI as your babysitter.
Yeah.
And you
You
know
be
what?
the babysitter.
And you guys can tell me if you feel like this is just a myth, but I feel like the lack of, like you mentioned, going outside, having that interaction, I feel like the mental health, I should say, has kind of increased the struggle. A lot of younger individuals are suffering more for just different mental health challenges. And I don't know if it's like a connection. Is it the lack of that outdoor, that just playing outside, how we used to go bike riding and actually engage? A lot of children just stuck in front of a video game, their computer screen, their telephones, and the increase of like the social media bullying and all the other things. I'm just wondering if any of that kind of, what your guys' thoughts on how that play into one another.
Social media is a contagion. I think we know that. I mean, it's all about intent, right? But I think with the kids, especially, they look at it and it really becomes a competition, and not very rarely a healthy one. Or you get a bad idea, and it's replicated and multiplied by social media. Yeah, as Christopher said, touch grass, get away from that phone, get into reality. That's I think that's healthy. That's good mental health. And be with your family, like as human beings.
Yeah, and one of the things that people need to realize is that if we spend less time on these social medias, constantly glorifying other people's lives, which aren't real, by the way, they're only showing you their best moments ever, when usually they put their phone down and they're just as miserable as you are because they're trying to keep up with the Joneses, and that's because they know these people at the top, if they keep making us want to compete with one another, we'll just find ways to get angry with one another over what we don't have. So if we would stop feeding them and start feeding each other, we'd do a heck of a lot better, which is why I'm broadcasting this to so many channels for free and built this for free. And I'll be doing this every Friday for free so we can bring mental health back to social media so people can relax and have fun and have real conversations again.
I love that you mentioned your Friday show. I would like to kind of segue to your show actually, because I know we're getting close to the hour mark.
Mhm.
And I want you to kind of talk about the bonus that you're offering for those that are tuning in, and then a little bit more about your show, if that's okay.
Right. So you're going to have to remind me fully what I offered because we came up with it in the moment. But I was going to offer a half hour of AI consultation one on one, correct? How I use it, how I built, how I directed basically, you could use me for any sort of strategic way you want to use me, how I network within the medical field, how I network within aerospace, how I network within all these different areas that I've somehow managed to dabble my fingers into. You get me for a half hour if you do my show on Friday for an hour with me. So all boats float approach. You get to hang out with an hour, and then I'll teach you anything that you want to know, and I'll be 100% honest and candid with you.
I would say definitely take advantage of that opportunity because you do stream to like 5 different platforms. And then with that account, you could stream to 3 of your platforms, right? Or they can do 5 of their platforms. How does that work, Chris?
So if they want to sign in, they can stream up to 3 from theirs.
Okay. I love it. Well, before we close out tonight's event, would you like to give like one big takeaway that you want them to take away from today's topic? As well as Mike, I'll hand it to you as well if you want to kind of give a recap or a takeaway you want them to give for tonight.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway has nothing to do with AI. It has to do with who you are as a human being. And that's why I'm so glad Michael joined me on stage tonight. And that's, don't pretend to know everything. Nobody does. Realize that the best thing you can do to empower yourself is to empower the people around you. And don't try to take credit for everything that everybody else does, Elon. It's a jerk move. So start giving credit to the people who deserve it, and let's build organizations that change the world in real deal ways. That's my message.
Mine is just, can't we all just love one another? And I'm serious about that. I am very concerned about all the division that
Yeah,
seems to be manufactured, quite
it
frankly.
is.
And I think we need to wake up, act locally, with family, friends, and then work out from there. But we can do better.
Yeah, do better, America. Start loving your neighbors. Stop caring about politics. We're all cool. We're all mostly center. Get over it.
Those were some great takeaways. Well, thank you both for joining us on stage. Drew, thank you so much for joining us. I think you're still behind stage with us. So, Drew, thank you so much for joining us as well.
Drew, thanks a million for being here, buddy.
All right. Well, if you guys are ready, we can close out our night. So you guys can go enjoy your
one last thing. Special shout out to everybody from the Sales Pulse family who was here. So I'm just gonna this title came from Jose, so I got to give Jose the credit. But shout out to the whole family.
I love it. And you know what? I love the fact that you mentioned like community and supporting one another. And that was one of the main things to why I created the Audio Leadership Club. And for those of you that want that support system, that camaraderie, and that community, Chris and I definitely will welcome you to join the Audio Leadership Club because you are also a member.
That's right. And if you guys want to join, hit me up. I can send you a link, and we can get you set. You can join. You can network with me and Amalia and so many other amazing speakers anytime. We got a couple of TEDxers in there, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Absolutely. And I would say the biggest benefit for those that don't really know much about the Audio Leadership Club, it is a great space if you're trying to get visibility, learn events, get co-hosts, guest speakers. If you just want that collaboration, we do have it to where we have a automated system. We're talking about AI. So you can actually opt in, and based on your interest, the system will automatically connect you with a member of our community to actually start networking, have that collaboration. If you are kind of shy, I would say it's always hard to kind of ask for collaboration, and kind of having a system to do it for you is pretty cool. So we kind of implemented that too. But of course, if you're someone that's not really tech savvy, like today, right now, we stream it for you. If you want to join us and someone handle all the back end and you just enjoy the conversation, we handle that. And if you like, one thing I love about Chris too, we join your events and we also stream it to our platform for more visibility. So we're really supportive. We love events and we love making impact with our voices, which is why we are called audio leaders.
Yeah, we just kind of make I would say it's like an octopus of arms around the world of communication.
That is a really good analogy. I like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
I welcome you, Mike. If you want to join the club, Chris has the link. I will appreciate because this was great. I think you'll be a valuable member within our community.
I'm more than happy to join. I applied, some weeks ago. I think I got lost in the mail.
We have a waiting list. We're going to drop invitations soon. But the cool thing is, if a member invites you, you get to skip the waiting list.
Oh, cool.
So
Yeah.
send him the
link. I'll have to send it, buddy.
And we do have a waiting list because we do want to kind of keep the integrity of the community, if that makes sense. So, all right, everyone. Well, we can close the evening out. I do see Erica. Hi, Erica. Thank you for joining us. And I see Juliana's back. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. Well, Chris, I can let you close it out if you like.
Yeah, guys, Sales Pulse Medical Trends Inc. will be making a big announcement in April 25th in New Orleans about the future of energy, which relates a lot to AI, because AI demands a lot of energy. So, you know what they say. I'm gonna actually leave the catchphrase out on this one and toss it to Michael about what happens when there's a gold rush, Mike.
You need pickaxes.
Yep, sell pickaxes. So let's just say
And
we'll be announcing some pickaxes down in New Orleans.
awesome.
I love it. Well, thank you all, and you all have a wonderful evening. I should say in my time zone, it's 8 o'clock. So whatever time it is in your time zone, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks again. Have a great one, everybody. Thanks for coming.
All right. Bye, everyone.